Welcome back, everybody, to Two Crime Besties for another episode.
We're back. We're
Yay.
back.
Yay. We've had a really short turnaround time this time because we ended up recording our last episode a little later in the week than we normally do. So we've had slightly less time to do the research on this one, but that's okay.
It'll be all right. Emerald will get us together and we'll be right.
That's it. Exactly. Oh, sure.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. None at all. I've just noticed that for anybody who's actually watching the video of us doing this, we have dressed the same again today.
Yeah.
Yep. We've both gone with the green.
At least we're somewhat different. I know we've done other days it's been even worse. So
Yeah. We've had matchy, and I've had to go and get changed.
Yes.
It's funny how it works like that.
Oh, man. Is that the sign of what's that a sign of? Is it knowing each other too well?
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's not like we rang each other last night and went, hey, green tomorrow?
We're matching up in many ways lately. It's not good.
Oh, that's it. What's been happening in the last few days for you?
Oh, man, it's been a crazy week. So much stuff going on this week. My head's all over the place, so I apologise now.
No, that's going to make for a really fun episode.
I feel like I've been drinking when I haven't been drinking. Is
Yeah,
that
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. There's my week has been crazy. I'm really, again, I think I said this same last week, and it's just carrying on. I'm over people. People are just, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some real assholes that just like to screw with your day.
Yeah. Yep. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. And I think winter, and especially now we're sort of in the depths of winter, I'm hoping by the time this episode's released, actually we'll be easing into spring. But we're a few weeks ahead. So
definitely some people being unwell, it really impacts them and they just take it out on everyone around them. And it's just that, that lingering cold or whatever. But everyone just seems extra grumpy and extra, I don't know, just dropping the ball on things that they should get done.
Yeah, right.
In every aspect of life, I think.
Yep.
I just don't like people.
Yep. It happens. It happens. Hopefully with, the tide of spring, things will shift and it'll all be good fun. But
yeah.
Who knows?
But we were just talking about too, with the change of season, is it the new basketball season starts for the kids, and we were just saying about how the constant app on for school with all the and there's just so much on at the moment of pay for this, pay for that, pay for this, pay for that. I feel like there's forking money out left, right and centre at the moment.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think term 3 just seems to be a mental term for all of that stuff. It's they cram everything in because term 4's busy anyway.
It's a no report term, so that everything is crammed. It's crammed into term 3. Term 3, there's nothing on in term 3. Let's do a term 3. Every teacher does it.
Okay,
it's been there, done that.
Yeah, because our kids have got excursions. There's crepe days. We just had mini Olympics. There's so much going on.
School camps coming up, and swimming, which we haven't had notices of yet, but it will come.
I think that's term 4 though for our kids.
Or my kids are convinced it's this term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But you might
keep
be
an eye
right.
out for that one.
I'd
then.
love it if
All
it was held out till term 4, just warmer weather. If nothing
true.
else, getting the towels dry.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, that's it.
Oh,
love this quick swimming turnover for washing.
Oh, Jesus, it kills me that fortnight of swimming with school.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, the constant smell of chlorine.
Delish. Yeah. Today we're talking about the Golden State Killer.
Yes.
Episode 12, and here we are. This is a big case. I don't think it's going to be a two-parter at this stage because you can absolutely deep dive into this case, and we could probably do a 10-parter on it.
Yeah, as many people have.
Many people have, and that's the thing. If you're really interested in this case and you want to know more, there is so much information out there about him and his crime and every victim and every crime, and there were so many crimes that we know of that have been attributed.
Prolific is the only way to describe him in that sense. Prolific.
Yeah. And I still don't think we know the extent, the absolute extent of the crimes that he perpetrated, because he is an absolute monster. So the Golden State Killer, that's what he was finally come to be known as. His name is Joseph James DeAngelo, and he was born on the 8th of November in 1945. And in the mid-1970s in California in the United States, he started perpetrating these crimes. He went by so many pseudonyms.
Yeah, and because they didn't actually marry up that he was the same person.
This is the thing. Yeah. Even now they don't know that some of these some of the names given to these perpetrators, whether they are actually attributable to him, but these are the ones that they're pretty sure he's the perpetrator of the crime. So he was known as the Visalia ransacker, the East Area rapist, the East Side rapist, the East Bay rapist, the Creek Bed killer, the Diamond Knot killer, the original Night Stalker, and the Golden State killer. There's another name that he went by, and it's Earons, which is a combination of the East Area rapist and the original Night Stalker. So at some point during the investigation, they put together those two. Yeah, so then that was known as Earons. So that's the East Area rapist and original Night Stalker.
I also had the Orange County killer as linked to him too.
I didn't
but maybe
see
I'm
that.
wrong.
Oh, no, not necessarily.
I do. I've got it in my notes here. I've listed as the Orange. Yeah, the Orange County killer.
Well, I mean, I guess it's in the same area. So this is mostly Northern California.
Yeah.
He perpetrated over the course of his crime career. Now, this is what they have been able to prove he was involved with. There were 13 murders, 51 rapes, 120 burglaries minimum.
Yeah.
The thing that is really interesting with this case as well is he escalated as time went on. So he started out with burglaries, that progressed to rapes, and then within that the murders sort of started.
Yeah. Yeah, when he lost control in a situation, obviously, I think.
That's it, exactly. So he was married. He was married to a woman named Sharon Marie Huddle. They were married in 1973. And at the time he was a police officer. That's how, I mean, that's mind-blowing to me.
It really is. I mean, and they did, in profiling him, they believe that he would have been in some sort of police or army or some sort of in that sort of area for work, and they were spot on. So well done to those profilers. But it floors me that someone who is in that kind of work would think to want to do this sort of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the profiler said that he was more than likely military.
Yep.
Because of...
Well, he also wasn't he?
I believe he
Navy?
did. But I don't think he served... I don't know if it was like... Did he serve a term in the Navy?
I'm fairly sure because that was part of the Diamond Knot Killer title he
Right,
got.
okay.
Because the knots that he tied during his... when he perpetrated these crimes,
Yep.
they were Navy knots, and he was very good at one particular knot that he used was this diamond knot, which is almost impossible to get out of.
Okay.
So that's where he got that name.
Right.
So he must have done enough to, I don't know, be able to tie good knots. I don't know how much time you need to spend in the Navy to become good at tying knots.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see a lot about his military career in doing my research. So I don't know whether it was like I don't know. Is there, what do we have here, like the reserves? Is there a reservist?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Equivalent in America? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Anyway, if you want to look into that, feel free.
Yeah.
And he also worked as a mechanic after his policing career sort of ended.
Because he got sacked from the police, from stealing dog repellent.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed.
No, either did I.
Never heard of that before this. That dog repellent exists and apparently stops the dogs from barking.
Oh, maybe I need that for my dog.
I was going to say. But it really floored me because in this case, like a lot of people were commenting throughout these in perpetrating, they were commenting around the fact that my dog didn't bark, and normally my dog would bark or protect, and they weren't.
But why steal it?
I know.
He wasn't destitute.
No.
Although money did play him. So I guess I'm getting really far ahead of myself.
Sorry, that
at
was
the minute.
my fault.
No, not at all. But I'm just wondering, why would you put your career at risk as a police officer to steal something? How much would dog repellent cost?
But I guess that was part of his MO in a lot of ways too, of the thrill of. I mean, he started out with burglaries and burgling and robbing very odd things.
Yeah.
So
get into that.
I find really funny that in some ways that he got caught doing it at work, where you would be surely you're going to be more careful around doing it somewhere like that. In that, when he's going out into the public and doing it, they couldn't catch him for so many years. Yeah.
Yeah, so, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Being that he was a police officer meant that he knew processes and he knew what would happen when a crime was perpetrated and how the police would go about investigating it. And in many instances, he actually investigated his own crimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, again, that was really probably what he got off on. You know, that idea of having control over that investigation in that way, like, you know, and having knowledge and, yeah.
And colleagues have been interviewed and he'd be the first one to put his hand up to go in there and investigate them. Easily then he could destroy any evidence that he may have accidentally left behind, or I guess alter evidence to make it look a certain way. And he did that and he got away with these crimes for years.
Yep.
So the crime spree really went from around 1974 to 1986. He had 3 children in that time too. So he and his wife had 3 daughters. His wife is a divorce lawyer, a divorce attorney.
But she never divorced him.
Not until 2019.
Yeah, like they stayed together until after he was arrested.
They weren't together though. They
weren't together. No, they were separated, but they never actually divorced.
Yeah.
Until after his arrest and everything. So
I've heard that the reason that she didn't divorce him is because of spousal privilege and that maybe she knew things that she didn't then want to have to rat on him again.
Interesting. Because she's gone quiet, and so have her daughters. And in a lot of ways, I respect that. In that I understand that being connected to someone like that is, how on earth do you process that? But yeah, maybe there's stuff that she knows.
I feel like why else would you do it? But then having said that though, she divorced him in 2019.
Yeah.
And he went to trial in 2020. I guess while they were married, that's still considered spousal privilege during that time period, or it doesn't negate it just because they got divorced after the time.
I don't know.
I assume so because she never testified. Didn't have to testify because he pled guilty.
Well, he pled guilty. I guess that once he did that, she could sort of move on.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think lucky to everyone, he didn't in some ways. I mean, as much as the trial would have been fascinating and we would have found out far more about him and the process he went and everything, I think we would have found out a lot of stuff. And that would have been fascinating. But I think for the victims and et cetera, that was just a far better way of going about things for him to just admit guilt and be like, yes, I did this.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as, we don't get any info.
No.
Well.
No. When I was looking into this, there was a really good podcast, long form podcast that I listened to, and it's called The Man in the Window. It was a podcast made by, produced by the LA Times. So if you want more information and sort of a little bit more in depth into every one of his victims, and maybe not every single one of his victims, but many of his victims, that's a really good one to go and have a look at. What did you use to research? Yeah,
a really good long form one that I haven't finished yet, but I'm really, really enjoying. I'm going to finish it regardless of the fact that we've already recorded this. Is it's by Criminology. It was their season 2, and the full season is devoted to the Golden State Killer. They do a really good job of it. They've talked to a lot of the investigators. They talk to some of the victims and victims' family, those who didn't survive, because I'd rather use probably the term for survivor than victim, to be honest. Because some of the survivors particularly are incredible what they've gone on to do after this to help others, etc. Because the trauma that they've been put through was horrendous.
Yeah.
So it's a really good long form podcast. Quite a few books I've listened to as well. Another one was actually the Real Crime Profiler.
Oh, yeah.
Real Crime Profile podcast was another that had quite a few good episodes as well.
Okay.
So and they talk to victims as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information out there if you want to go a lot deeper. But I guess let's have a bit of a look at his signature, about his MO and see where it happened. So as the Visalia ransacker, he would actually come into people's homes. So he was very meticulous in the way he cased houses. He knew where people were, when they were going to come and go, who was in the house, and he always picked his timing to be whatever he wanted that to be in that circumstance.
A lot of time picking his victim.
This is what makes me think his wife had to have known, because he would have, like, the amount of time he would have had to have devoted to each ransacking, to each burglary, to each rape, to each murder. How did she, like, what? He's going out at all hours of the night because most of the crimes were perpetrated at night.
Yeah. Well, that was where being a police officer worked in his favour. I know that from listening to a podcast on the perspective from the brother-in-law, so her brother, the wife's brother, and he said the fact that he worked as a police officer, quite often he would just say, oh, we had this case towards the end of my shift and I had to stay longer to write reports.
Okay.
And a lot of the times when they, in afterthought, he goes back over some of those things and goes, oh, wow, like that's actually when that victim, like when that happened. Or yeah, and he said actually there was a number of them. There's particular dates when, as the brother-in-law, he went over the dates of, because he was so prolific, it was sort of pretty monthly that he would pick a victim basically. And when he looked over it, there were particular dates where he would perpetrate the crime, and each year that those dates popped up again and again. And it was his birthday was one of them. That there was a he perpetrated on the brother-in-law's birthday over a couple of years, like repeatedly on that same date. And he's like, yeah, we were out as a family. He didn't like socialising, Joseph, and so he wouldn't come to like a family gathering. That was his out of like, oh, I don't want to go. You know, you go to your family's birthday celebrations. He was perpetrating the crime. They were all distracted by celebrating a birthday, and you know, not watching the TV and seeing the news that night because they were out at dinner
and he's gone,
doing
you
things.
beauty. Now's my opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, how sickening. You feel like, you know, oh, we were doing that. We were celebrating something and he's off doing that.
Oh, God. That you would just never get over that, knowing that.
Yeah.
I know there were instances, especially with the burglaries, where I think the night that he had the most number of crimes, he broke into 20 houses in one night.
Wow.
20.
But he
and that was all within
in
a city block. Oh, no.
He wasn't breaking into like steal, you know, things of value either. It was just it was the thrill of breaking in, being able to get in, have control of that situation. And then it was also that torture aspect of, I'll steal one of your favourite earrings.
Yeah.
Like,
and he would do weird shit like get all of the female underwear out of the house and like stack it on the kitchen table.
Yeah. He'd make
or
change
drawers. Like he would go through their drawers and take their underwear out of the drawer and put it in someone else's drawer, but not take any underwear. Yeah,
because that was all the time people wouldn't realise for quite some time after the fact. They'd kind of go, oh, where's this? Like some random item. And they'd realise, oh, he's taken it in a robbery. Or he'd
move a photo or like just really creepy shit.
Creepy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think when he perpetrated that night that he did sort of the 20 burglaries in one hit, police were then like, oh, this is escalating, because that was sort of heading more towards the end of the burglary sort of side of things and things were starting to really escalate. So as you were saying, if he's looking to get a bit of a thrill from this and it's taking 20 burglaries in one night to thrill him,
that hit.
It kind of stands to reason that the next thing he does is start escalating his behaviours. And unfortunately what that actually meant was that he started raping women.
Yeah.
The things that he did to these women, again, if you listen to any of these long form podcasts, it goes into it. Some of them go into it in a fair bit of depth, but
because the actual, well, two things here. Firstly, rape isn't about sexual stuff. It's about control, 100%. But that's the thing with this whole thing. The rape is actually, I mean, and I don't want to minimise rape. It's horrific. But to be really honest, what he did to them psychologically was horrible.
He tortured them.
Yeah, he did. And not only on that night, before and after.
Yeah. So he would come into the house. If there was a male present in the home, he would make the male lie down on their front, stack dinner plates on their back, and say to the male, if you move or if I hear these plates move in any way, I will come here and kill you, and then I will kill your wife. I will rape and kill your wife.
Yeah.
So these poor men were lying there. They had, you would have no option. Like, what do? You've got dinner plates stacked on your back. You would
And
be
if he hears them rattle, I mean, God, that would rattle
terrified
at anything, any
of breathing.
and especially breathing in an anxious state like that.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's be or and thinking that you're now putting your wife, if you know there were kids as well, sometimes in the home, putting everyone at danger if you move in any slight way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'd come in and he'd bind people, like all of the members of the household. He'd blindfold them.
Yeah.
So in a lot of these instances, once he'd sort of moved from the burglaries into the rapes, people didn't really know what he looked like.
No, well, ski mask and
That's right.
gloves.
And what I found interesting was he actually had a different ski mask almost every time he perpetrated a crime.
Wow. So that there was nothing left on it.
That's it.
Yeah, match it up.
So he must, I don't know
Wow.
what.
Where on earth was he buying all these ski
where was he
masks?
buying them? Where was he disposing of them?
Yeah.
Did he keep them as trophies? I don't know. That's never come out. So he's got different gloves every time, different ski mask, and he would wear different clothes.
Well, actually, on that, most efficient burglar and rapist ever, because he would rock up with no pants on.
Yeah. Ready to go.
Ready to go. Which, I mean, this is where I've become with my anal self. Any way to, make things easier.
Nice choice of words there, by the way.
Really bad. But anyway. Oh, God. But to rock up with no pants on, to be able to, perform the act that he's going to perform, efficiently and get it done, and without the issue of pants up and down. But if, he gets interrupted in some way, to exit without having to pull pants up and whatever, he's smart in that sense.
Thought it through.
Yeah.
He never intended to leave quickly, though. And that's why the pant thing, I guess it's just in case he was sprung,
Yes.
even though he generally would have done enough research to know he wasn't going to get sprung.
Mm-hmm.
So he would perpetrate these horrific rapes, including sodomy, including oral rape.
He made the victims do awful things.
Horrible. He'd bind their hands behind their back and make them touch his penis, because he liked to see their hands bound and touching him.
Touching his teeny tiny
little penis. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, hold on, I actually wrote down a quote about his penis.
I love that. Sorry. Can you say that one more time?
I wrote a quote about his penis. If that ends up on TikTok, oh God. So one of the investigators wrote in one of her reports that he had an extremely small penis. And they even went to doctors around, when they were investigating, trying to figure out who this bloke is, they went to doctors around the areas where he was raping people to go, anybody here have a bit of a micro penis that you know of? Because they were like, this is an identifying feature potentially.
Right. Yeah. God, can you imagine getting that question? Have you got a patient with a small dick?
Yeah, I don't know what the percentage of that is in the population, but I don't think it turned out any leads in the end.
Yeah, but apparently, because he's one of his victims, which is horrific. She was only 13 years of age, and she was a virgin.
Yeah,
and so him raping her, and multiple times he raped her, but it never broke her hymen.
I did not.
That's
know
how
that.
small a penis he had.
There you go.
Yeah.
That poor girl. Her name was Margaret Wardlow. 13 years of age. And I've heard an interview with her where she actually said, so she's obviously a grown adult now, and she said, I knew I just had to give him zero satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he would want me to be begging for my life and asking him to stop. And she said, I gave him none of it. I just said to him, do what you need to do.
Yep.
Gave him at 13 years of age to have the presence of mind to be like that. Oh, she actually said to him, I'm not afraid of you.
Oh, God, go her.
Yeah. And her mum was at home when that happened.
Oh.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, she just accepted that he was going to rape her and it happened and he left. He would sometimes do some really strange things after perpetrating the crime on the victims or on the survivors. He would go into their kitchen and make himself a meal.
Yeah. And he'd sit down.
Cook.
He'd sit out on a balcony and
Yep.
take in the view or whatever. And then he'd go back and rape them again.
Yep.
And then he'd go and wander around the house and do something else.
Move their underwear around or whatever it was he was doing.
Very weird.
Very
it wasn't
strange.
just a, rape and gone, it was in and out quickly like that.
Yeah.
It was very it was a lot of time of this poor victim laying there going, is he going to come back again?
And this is
Has he left? Is he here
This is
still?
part of the torture,
Yeah.
isn't it? That they didn't know whether he was still around.
No.
He would then also phone them for weeks and for some of them months. And one of his victims, years
The first
later,
one was, it was years.
he would ring them. Oh my God, you need to go on to YouTube and listen to this. But he would ring and he'd just breathe into the receiver. He'd be like, like horrific. And then he'd say things like, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Like weird shit.
Oh, when you're listening to that recording, like it gave me absolute chills. Like real crime stuff doesn't affect me like that. I don't get scared of it. Like, I don't know what it is, but horror movies really freak me out. I can't do horror movies.
Oh, me either.
This
I didn't know
dude-
that about you.
This dude is horror movies. Like, he is literally his crimes could have been scripts in horror movies. His very first victim, he appeared in her doorway with his knife tapping on she woke to the tapping of his knife on the door frame of the door. I mean, that's full-blown monster in a horror movie shit. Yeah. To the point where when she, in her days confused of waking up, actually thought she was seeing things and threw her bed cover back over her head going, oh my God, go to sleep, you idiot, like kind of thing, like, like what on earth? That it was that weird, and then he jumped on her kind of thing. So, I mean, he is just beyond. And I said it to you during the week researching this. It's the first time I've ever done the whole gone and checked my locks, triple checked my locks at night going to bed after listening to podcasts or reading things around this case, because he was a genuine monster.
Monster, a creep, a terrorist. Like, he's just horrible.
One of the ones that creeps me out the most in terms of his researching his victims and then perpetrating a crime. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but they the rapes got so bad, they started like these town meetings, and they had a town meeting, and one of the guys in the town meeting stood up and said, how on earth is this guy raping a man's wife in the house while he's home? There's no way that would happen in my home. I'd, beat the guy. Me tough. I'd beat him up. I'd kill him. How on earth are men in our town allowing this to happen? And so that was that. They left the town meeting. I think within a few months of that town meeting, Joseph rocked up at his house. This guy that spoke at the town meeting raped his wife and left. So he did it straight to that man to show him, you think that other men can protect their wives and you can do better than they've done? Not when I'm around. Like, how freaking creepy. He was at that town meeting.
He was.
And
he
there's
was
even
at the
a photo.
town meeting.
I think someone's found a photo of him sitting at the town meeting. And so he's heard this guy speak. He's spent some time researching him and finding the perfect time and going, oh, well, there you go. You're my next victim.
Fuck you, buddy.
Oh, how freaking creepy.
He's so creepy. One of the other victims that I sort of looked into, she was his fifth victim. And there are quite a lot of interviews with her, like clips of her on YouTube. Her name is Jane Carson Sandler, and her experience. So this one happened at 6 o'clock in the morning, but apparently it was very dark. Like it's not like a summer 6 o'clock in the morning. It's depths of winter 6 o'clock in the morning. It was 1976, and she said she saw a bright light down the end of the hallway, but her husband was about to leave for work. So she was like, oh, that's weird. Like normally he wouldn't have a flashlight type thing. But whatever, didn't really think that much of it. And then a man comes from that end of the hallway wearing a ski mask coming at her. He's holding this hunting knife. And at that time of the morning, her 3-year-old son had gotten into bed with her just to have some snuggles. I guess maybe the dad had woken him up in the process of going to work. And Joseph bound both of them, blindfolded them. And she said in her mind, she was like, just do whatever he wants because my son's here. I just need to keep the peace. She said when he bound her ankles, she kind of felt good about it. She thought maybe he's just going to, steal stuff out of the house or like maybe he will kill us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then he unbound her ankles and he's like, she said, I just knew exactly what was coming.
Yeah.
And she said she just lay there like silently let what happened because her son was lying like.
Well, she didn't really know where he was, whether he'd removed him out of the room.
I
or
don't
or
think
not.
he had in the end. So, but she didn't know, like, was my son okay? Like, was he still alive? Didn't know. This was one of the households where he stayed and cooked himself a meal.
Yeah.
And she just had to lie there for over an hour. He never came back to her, I don't think. But
I think,
it would have been hours until she was able to, I don't know, feel safe. I don't know, feel safe enough to be able to move and do something about
I remember
what had
her
just
saying
happened
she
to
literally
her.
just counted to 60, like over and over in her head, trying to count, like, so how long have I waited for to make sure he's gone, and listening out to make sure to see. And then she'd like hear him in the kitchen, then she'd start again, and like,
Oh my God.
yeah, because she was like, if I wait 10 minutes of silence, then I think he's gone. But he would be able to walk and get through places like so stealth-like that you would think he's not there, and he would be.
Yeah.
And,
that
creepy,
goes towards that terror, like the people would be feeling. Oh my God.
yeah.
As the rapes sort of were progressing, one of the detectives who was an investigator at the time, she was a woman named Carol Daly. So she investigated 27 of his crimes. She said we knew that he was ready to kill. Like they could see the escalation of the rapes as well. They were becoming more violent, more graphic, more intense, and they just knew the next step was murder. Yeah. And lo and behold, I think, not that long after they'd sort of come to this conclusion, a couple of weeks later, he committed his first murder.
Oh. Was his first murder one where there was a wife and there was a couple?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So another, I guess we need to probably say as well, he evaded capture for over 40 years. So he's perpetrating like these 13 murders, these rapes, countless burglaries. And so over the years, many detectives, had held the case, and it was passed on and passed back, and it was a cold
in
case
different
here and
areas too, they'd be investigating, as that's why I ended up with so many names.
That's it.
Because different areas were investigating, and back then they weren't so much communicating, I guess, in a central database of sorts.
That's it.
Of kind of going, oh, this is the same case, this is the same person and perpetrating these crimes in multiple places. It was basically like this area he was known as this because that he was operating there, but over in a few towns over, he was known as something else and perpetrating the crimes there, and that the detectives there weren't
necessarily
talking to each other
communicating
to know, oh, hang on a second, you've got the same guy we have. It wasn't until one of them, I believe, put a few together.
This detective Paul Holtz, is that right? He sort of came to be able to see a few commonalities between all of these different cases and be like, oh, this is interesting. So a few things that he identified. It was always single-story houses.
Yes.
He parked his car in a strategic place in order to be able to get out quickly if he needed to, but never close enough to the house that his vehicle would be identified or associated.
Mm-hmm. We used to ride a bike too.
Yeah.
At times.
Or sometimes he also went on foot.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess he had a lot of a lot of different ways of escaping depending on whereabouts he was perpetrating.
Yeah.
I think Paul Holtz took over the case in 1994. So by this stage, the crimes had sort of stopped.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that stage too, I guess DNA became possible.
Yep.
Whereas back when he was perpetrating his crimes in the 70s and 80s, DNA wasn't even a thing.
Yep.
There was something that I didn't get a lot of information on, and you probably can answer this more correctly than what I was listening to, kind of going, okay, I think I get what they're saying. But something about that prior to even DNA coming into play, they could test certain things.
Yep.
And that it turned out that whoever he was,
yep.
he fell into this very small bracket of the population who were a non-secretor.
Non-secretor.
So what does that mean?
So a non-secretor, so body fluids. So a non-secretor is a person. So it 15 to 25% of the population are non-secretors. So it's not a tiny percentage by any chance, but it is in the minority. So it certainly narrows a pool of people. Mm-hmm. But it's basically where your body fluids don't secrete antigens that are characteristic of your blood group.
Right.
So most people, or I guess between, 75 and 85% of the population, when you secrete body fluids, there are antigens in those fluids. So this can be saliva, sweat, whatever else. But as I said, 15 to 25% of the population don't actually secrete these antigens in their body fluids.
So you can't pinpoint what blood group he was.
No, if they found blood, they would be able to.
Yeah, but from any other. So from his semen, that would be left in the at the scene.
Yeah,
they wouldn't be able to get any of that information.
The interesting thing about this case is that by the time they found him and they got to him and they were able to look into DNA, because obviously we'd come, many, 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 many years down the track.
Yeah.
A lot of the evidence from all of his rapes, so the semen that was found and kept was all destroyed because the statute of limitations in California meant that
It's
they
only
could
10
only
years?
I thought it was 7.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
like not long
It's not
at all.
long,
Whether
really.
whether it's 7 or 10,
Especially
is
when
still
we know
not
about
enough.
rape victims and how long it takes for them to be able to feel comfortable to come forward.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it is absolute bullshit. I don't know whether that's still the case now, whether the statute of limitations has changed. I didn't look into that.
I feel like he wasn't able to be. Yeah, he was definitely not able to be charged with the rapes. I feel
he wasn't. He wasn't convicted of any of the rapes because of that statute of
limitations.
But he was convicted of 11 murders.
Yes,
but we can get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
So some more evidence that this detective sort of started putting together was that his shoe size was size 9. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty small male foot, really.
It's pretty
Is
average.
it?
No, I think it's like, I think female feet are it's like a 7 or 8. It's fairly average, isn't it?
Okay.
Whereas is it men's shoe sizes? To me, like a 10 seems big.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just going by maybe blokes that I know.
Your boys have got massive feet.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It just, to me, that seems small. But
I would have said
what do they say about?
what is
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. You know what they say? Small shoes, small feet. Yeah, obviously the fact that he was a non-secretor. He also would have these catchphrases that he would whisper or whimper to his victims as he was raping them or between rapes.
And
he would
the way
say
he would speak.
Disgusting. He would say things like, "I just need food and money for my van."
Oh.
Yep. He said that in nearly every rape he perpetrated.
Oh. Did he even own a van?
Well, this is the thing. The detectives think it was a red herring. And he was actually throwing... So there were a few other bits and pieces that he would say to really try and throw his victims off, and they were red herrings in the end.
Yeah, right.
He'd stutter.
Yes, I did hear that one. Yeah.
Even though
he didn't
in
have
every
a stutter.
day... No, he didn't have a stutter. He would cry, like actually cry tears.
What?
And he'd mention his mother and he'd say, "Mum, I'm really sorry. I won't do this again. Oh, my mother." Blah, blah, blah.
Although some of them said they thought he said mummy when he actually might have said Bonnie. And Bonnie was an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, now Bonnie's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So Bonnie was engaged to him. So this was pre him marrying. Oh, my God, I've just forgotten his wife's name.
Huddle is her surname.
Yep.
Sharon.
Oh, hold on. Oh, God. Sharon. Thank you.
Yep.
So prior to marrying Sharon, he was engaged to this Bonnie, and he was awful to her, so much so she called off the engagement.
Yep.
He then went to her house, essentially kidnapped her, put a gun to her head and said, "We're going to Nevada, to Vegas, to get married."
And he wasn't arrested for...
No, I don't think she ever... Her version of events now, and she's in her 70s, I think now, late 70s. Her thing now is, I just needed to be away from him. Like she said, I knew he was bad, but she didn't know he was this bad. It's not like she could have foreshadowed what he was going to do.
And there were some really shit news articles that came out when this all sort of blew up and they knew who he was when they found out. And the headlines sort of blamed Bonnie, almost of like sort of saying, like it was the trigger for him to start raping, and which it's not Bonnie's fault.
Oh God, no!
And so those headlines were horrendous. That her actions of calling off the engagement meant that other women were victims of this. So
or raped.
Let's just put that out there. Bonnie escaped a domestic violence situation.
And good on her.
And well done to Bonnie. And yes, okay, in hindsight, if she'd gone to the police, things he may have been, but it wouldn't have stopped what he was going to become.
Not at all.
Still,
so he
because
pulled
we
a
know
gun
that,
on her. There would have probably been a slap on the wrist for his first offence and nothing would have come of it.
Exactly. He still would have perpetrated these crimes. He lost his job as a police officer at one stage anyway. It's not like that stopped him.
Yeah,
so,
that's it.
He might have just lost his job as a police officer earlier, but that's all it probably would have done, I dare say.
Because Joseph pled guilty to all of the charges that were brought against him eventually, there was no trial, but the victims were allowed to provide a victim impact statement.
Mm-hmm.
And Bonnie wanted to be able to state her case in that, but because she wasn't technically a victim of his, she wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
But she teamed up with an actual victim who read a statement on her behalf in court. So this victim, I think the victim was actually don't quote me on this. I think she might have been the mother of somebody who died at Joseph's hand. So she provided her own victim impact statement. And then the judge had said to the victims, you can say whatever you want. There is no limit on the amount of time or content of what you say.
Yep.
And she then read out a statement that Bonnie had written. I love it too, like girl power. And Bonnie stood there next to her while she was giving her victim impact statement and watch the video. She stares him down. She does not break her eye contact with him.
Yep.
And the look on her face, I'm like, yep, you go, girl. Survivors.
Not victims.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to go search that and look at that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing, when you don't let him get at you. No, he's the monster.
Yeah. When he was arrested, though, this is just, oh my God, again, how manipulative he is. Apparently the day before he was arrested, because the police were surveilling him for lots and lots and lots of, days and weeks and months and years really leading up to his eventual arrest. And the day before he was arrested, he's like hooning on a motorcycle down like the freeway, apparently speeding. And he was also, there was something else he was doing that was quite sprightly and whatever.
Right.
And then the day he's arrested, he's like, like all hunched over.
I'm old. Just trying to gain sympathy.
Yep.
Although something that the brother-in-law did comment on and said he definitely had lost a lot of weight. But again, did he lose weight in jail by like refusing food to make sure he looked that way, or was being in jail impacting him and therefore losing weight?
Well, I hope so.
Either way, who cares?
Yeah.
But it's he definitely changed a lot between the arrest to then sitting in the courtroom. Absolutely.
Yeah. What an absolute piece of shit.
Oh, absolute piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean...
They don't get more awful, I don't reckon.
Pardon?
I don't know that they get much more awful.
No, they don't. And nor more prolific. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah.
So he was arrested on the 25th of April in 2018. Should we talk about how that came about?
Yes. This is what I'm fascinated by this. It really blows open so many other possibilities for other cold cases.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, this had been essentially a cold case for all of those years.
What year did he actually stop committing crimes?
1986.
86.
Yeah.
So do we know why he stopped?
They don't know, although... So his final victim was a woman named Janelle Lisa Cruz. I say woman, she was 18 years old. She was a girl. He raped her and then he bludgeoned her to death with a pipe wrench.
Jesus.
So it was the most absolutely brutal and gruesome attack.
Yeah.
And there is an inference that maybe he almost got caught doing that, and that was enough to get him to stop, because there had been an instance, I can't remember which case it was or which victim it was, where he'd almost gotten caught and he then had a break.
Well, that was 1977.
Yeah.
And he fell, and they absolutely said that because he was being chased down, and I don't know why, but this is God. So I get this visual of Point Break when he climbs the fence and jumps, and they and he hurts his knee, right? I get that visual of him running off, and he jumped something, and they said he had to have injured himself when he jumped and fell but he did get away. But and because there was an interview.
But wasn't he caught unaware? As in somebody came home or interrupted what he was doing. He wasn't able to fully complete his ritual.
I think so.
Yeah, and that they think that's why he ended up having that break.
Oh, no, they reckon. Well, they say the break was either due to the fact of the injury itself, but also quite possibly of fucked up here. Like, how am I going to avoid that next time? Like, kind of thing. But it was also because they ended up going to hospitals, kind of trying to chase down, because he would have had to have gone to hospital to get this checked out. And there was a particular person who they did sort of think it was, and they pinned him down to kind of go, is this, was it you? Like, because he rocked up to a hospital with an injury, but it wasn't him in the end. But he definitely would have had to have gone to hospital for this injury.
But he probably drove hours and went somewhere else.
Exactly.
Like, he was that knowledgeable about how he would have known they would have come looking for him at a hospital after that.
Exactly. He wasn't silly
so
enough
maybe
to.
Because it was such a close call, that's what caused it. Who knows.
And because there was other ones where, like, the brother-in-law that was interviewed, he said, like, when he looked at the dates and the layout, he was like, oh, he had there was a gap here where he didn't do any like for a month or two, and he's like, that's when we were moving. He was helping us move.
Or once when one of his daughters was born, there was a gap of a few months.
Yeah, and you sort of think, okay, so he was busy at nights and things, or helping other people out, and so he couldn't do his normal stalk and find his victim. Yeah. Interesting to see that perspective of someone, like a family member, to kind of go, like, the dates of, like, when he didn't attack.
With that brother-in-law as well, he would show him these, like, handmade gold bullion bars that he'd made. Like, he'd melt down, what he'd stolen from houses. And I mean, it's not like he stole great amounts of jewelry and stuff, but I guess across 120 burglaries, you're going to, accumulate a fair
there and
few
a ring
things.
there and a piece of a necklace there.
And he smelted it all down into these, like, handmade gold bullion, and would show his brother-in-law and be like, hey, but the brother-in-law never asked where he got it from, or never asked questions.
No,
Is it because he didn't
to.
want to know the answer?
Oh, yeah, maybe. There is a book. He has written a book, the brother-in-law, which apparently you can just get off of Amazon, called Killers Have Secrets.
Okay.
So, and he writes about the fact that he was, in a lot of ways, a normal bloke.
Yeah. Well, he was in day-to-day life.
He said you would never have picked that this was what he was doing. Like, he said,
that's how he got away with it.
Yeah, he said definitely, like, when the wife and him split, then they separated, that his sister just didn't want anything to do with him anymore. Which, I mean, that's, most people who separate from someone, that's not, an indicator of, he must be killing and raping people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she was definitely like, no, I don't want anything to do with him. But he maintained a friendship with him as his brother-in-law. But he said eventually, though, Joseph found these other mates who enjoyed fishing, which the brother-in-law didn't like fishing. So they the friendship kind of just petered out.
Okay.
But, like, that's just a normal kind of evolution of a friend, of a relationship like that. When you're not, well, they're married technically, but they went together. Yeah, with his sister. So
there was no obligation there. They just I did see that the brother-in-law would also said that he would discuss these cases with him openly and bring up the East Area rapist and bring up the original Night Stalker and talk to him about it.
How weird.
Yeah. Creep.
Yeah.
What a creep. But the brother-in-law never suspected anything.
Not from all accounts from what he says. Yeah. Like, no. And he said, because he did say in interviews outright that if he ever suspected that he would have immediately gone to the police. He would never have approached him, but he would absolutely have gone to the police.
Yeah.
So, and the way he was presented himself, I believe him. He seemed to be very credible.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. And whether his wife, or ex-wife, knew anything, I don't know.
I feel like she had to have known, maybe not known that he was, earons, or that he was the Golden State Killer, but I think he was up to she had to have known something was.
It wasn't a happy marriage. It was obviously, he was obviously doing things that she was like, where are you at night? What, are you having affairs? Maybe she was thinking that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
or where's all this shit coming from? Why have you got random, I mean, I'm assuming he hid everything that he brought back, but.
Well, the one thing that the brother-in-law said in an interview was that really, like, kind of made me go, oh, that's really eerie. He reckoned, now looking back on everything, that obviously this man is a psychopath. He'll be, I'm sure they'll have psychologists looking at him of like, what is he? Where does this come from?
Yeah.
But also he said he has to have learnt how to behave normal. And so his behaviour of being normal was learnt behaviour.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of go, yeah, like that's
So
really
he's like innately he's
a monster.
and he's had to learn how to behave like a normal person. That's really interesting. I guess it'd have to be because only a psychopath could perpetrate these kinds of crimes.
Well, did you read much about him as a child?
No, I didn't.
So the only little bit of information I was able to find out was that he was abandoned by his own father as a child, and this father went and started a new family and named his new kids the same name as his old kids.
No.
I mean, that's got to fuck with you.
That is so fucked up.
Not to the point where you become a rapist and a murderer, but
that is so fucked up. Well,
fucked up.
I've actually got a family story about this, about something similar, and it really messed with the person who
I don't think anyone
had
else
the
would have
name
done
thing.
that.
I mean, well, listen, okay? So my dad's side of the family, so my dad's grandparents had a daughter and they named her Elsa.
Yeah.
And she died, I think, of cot death before she was 1 or at around the age of 1.
Yeah.
They then went on to have another daughter
Yeah.
about a year later and they named her Elsa.
Oh, no.
Yep. And the second Elsa definitely had it. I have no doubt in my mind that impacted her.
So she knew that too. Like she grew up knowing that she was Elsa number 2.
Yep.
So
like you're a replacement for someone. So like think about Joseph.
Yeah.
He's then been replaced by what his dad's
Living
just trying
children.
again.
Yeah.
You know.
It didn't work with that family. I'll start again.
Let's start again and see how that goes. I mean, that'd fuck with you.
I didn't think people did that.
Oh, I know. It's so weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's really full on. Really, really full on.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to how he got caught.
How he got caught. So the detective decided in his absolute wisdom, and I think he'd read about other detectives trying to solve cases in the same way, but he used DNA that they were able to obtain from Joseph and uploaded it into a genealogy website. So I think it's called GEDmatch. It's not one that's very well known, but think along the lines of Ancestry.com or 23andMe, where you upload a DNA profile into the website and it gives you a bit of an idea of like who you're related to or where you've come from. And so what this detective did was upload, I guess, a fake profile with Joseph's DNA.
Yeah, not linked to knowing that's the name though.
Not linked to knowing that's the name. They just, all they knew was this was
the GSK's DNA,
but not knowing who this person was at all.
Yeah.
So this is according to the detective, within a day they had something like 1,000 matches. And they were able to narrow that down into 25 family trees. Okay. So there's a lot of data here.
Right.
They were able to narrow it down via Joseph's great grandparents. So that's how far they had to go back.
Wow.
They then went down those
rabbit
paths
holes,
and they found 5 males who were living in California with the right age and right age and men and in the right geographical area.
Right.
Living in the right geographical area. And one of those 5 males was Joseph DeAngelo.
Wow.
But
Joseph DeAngelo never actually uploaded his DNA to one of these ancestry.com things he never did that. It was via some other family relative who had uploaded their DNA that connected it to them.
So it was a third cousin, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, geez, he must hate that third cousin.
Yeah. Or maybe it was a second. It was not a first cousin.
Yeah, right.
Either a second or a third cousin. But imagine be like, oh, hi, sorry.
It was me.
Sorry, hi, it was me. I uploaded my DNA because I wanted
where
to
I
know
came from.
my Italian ancestry. Have you ever done one of those 23andMe or?
I haven't, but my father has because he was adopted.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to find out well, he was like in his mind, he wanted to find out who his mum was and things and who his dad was.
Yeah.
Which it really just didn't come back with much. So it was nothing overly.
I guess in that generation, maybe it's less common.
Yeah, I don't know, because my mum's done it as well. And what really pissed him off was that it came out with more with her, and she's been in touch with relatives of hers, but it just really didn't lead anywhere. So we're kind of like, again, he started the whole family on his own. We don't know where he came from.
He's the founding father.
Yeah, the poor bloke. He's yeah. But yeah, no, so I haven't, but it's so interesting finding out like your heritage and, because we always thought there was, not knowing from my dad being adopted, we don't know what his heritage is. And I was kind of like, at one stage we thought there was a lot of Italian there. I've been told in the past that I might have a bit of Italian in my blood, or other people have commented about varying other traits that we have that might be a bit of something else. And it turns out, no, just, England, Ireland, the typical stuff. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. Yeah, same as my mum and,
Same.
Yeah.
I've never done it, and I'm really skeptical, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Yeah, not because I'm skeptical about the process, as in, the way it happens, and I would be happy to find family members potentially, but I'm like, what else are they doing with my genetic information? And I know they're not looking at, they're looking at genealogy. They're not looking at your, genetic makeup.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So
what
in
if
this
I
situation,
then commit a crime and then I'm in a database?
What's the ethical stuff of this, of the way they've gone about this? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, on the ethics of it?
Well, I mean, they obviously sell your data, but it's de-identified. But who's to say that an Ashley Madison breach doesn't happen? And
God, that's a whole other episode.
I think that's actually on the list. That was one of mine.
Was it really? Okay.
Yeah, because I find them really fascinating.
Blows my mind, that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Maybe. I'm a bit naive to the fact of I don't care who has my DNA then for that, but
yeah, but then what if your kid does something or
but then he shouldn't.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. It's not even that. I don't know.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, because apparently there are because of this case and this blowing this all open and it becomes an ethical issue. I think it was ancestry.com is one of them, that they don't, the FBI and that sort of stuff can't access their database. But there are
what's
others
to stop
that
them
are.
from creating these fake profiles then, or is it legally they're not allowed to?
Oh, I don't know that, because there's been other cases that have been, solved by doing very similar things. And I know there's particular people out there who are literally this is their job. They will research the genealogy to find a criminal. So, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
how
the
I feel
laws
about
haven't
it.
quite matched up.
Definitely
caught up
not.
with them yet. With that yet.
Yeah, I think it's along the lines of, I find the IVF, it's another interesting thing of the ethics around IVF and those sorts of things, and embryos and where they all go and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the law's kind of a few years behind. I mean,
up as much.
This all happened in 2020. 2020. So,
or 2018.
Oh, 2018. Oh, that's right. He was arrested in 2018.
Yeah.
So it's only sort of 6 years-ish ago. So maybe the laws haven't caught up yet. I actually don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
But he was sentenced to 11.
But also the other side of that, in terms of him being caught, and ethics around this as well. So they basically pinned him on this thing. They found, this is the guy, because they looked at a couple of different people who obviously related.
Yep.
And was no, this is our guy. But to be able to prove that, they then followed him around and waited until he discarded something that they could get DNA off.
Yep.
Took it out of the bin,
Yep.
unbeknownst to him entirely.
Yep.
Tested it, bang, that's our guy, and then went and arrested him. So again, I mean, that's not unheard of at all for cops to do, but I still find that's another bit of a privacy breach too, an ethical around
I guess
getting
not
it. But
really, because
you've discarded it.
You've discarded it. It's out in public. You've left it there willingly.
Yeah.
I think that's how they sort of get around it. But yeah, they got his DNA off a tissue and it matched. So there was some DNA from one of the murder scenes and a couple of the rape scenes, I think, that they still had access to, and they were able to link him up. And that was one of the things that really proved that the Visalia ransacker, the original Night Stalker, and the East Area rapist were all the same person.
And I think that's where there was an author of a book, Michelle McNamee, and she was the one that really, like, I think grouped all them together. She was amazing. And I don't know if you knew much about her. I'm just trying to find the name of her book. It was called, no, that wasn't her book called Frozen Time. That was someone else's. I can't remember the name of her book, but her book is amazing. People have actually said who have read the whole thing, and I've read snippets of it, that it's terrifying to read. That's how good of an author she was.
Right.
But she'd done so much research into this and had like cracked open a fair bit of parts of this case to be able to marry up that this was the same person doing these, but with different names. And she was such a huge part of it. But she ended up, I believe, dying of cancer not long before she finished her book, and her beautiful husband stepped in and finished it for her. So, wow, good on you.
I think she literally died like 2 months before he was arrested.
Yes. Yeah, she didn't quite get there.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But you have a read of that book, Michelle McNamee.
Okay, I will.
From all accounts of what I've looked at, that book's really incredible. If you're up for a horror story, really. Well,
I don't know that I am, to be honest with you, after all this. This is, sometimes, as you were saying before, sometimes these cases can shake you, and this is definitely one of them.
I have a habit of going to bed at night listening to real crime.
Oh, same.
Just calms me. But this one, do not listen to that recording of his voice to that victim right before bedtime.
Do not.
You are not sleeping.
Do not.
No.
So in the end, he was convicted of he was charged with first-degree murder, 13 counts of kidnapping, and he was actually sentenced to 12 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole plus 8 years.
Yeah.
And the reason that it was only 12 was because that was the maximum allowed penalty in the state of California at the time. So
he ain't ever getting out.
Yeah, he's never getting out.
No.
I mean, consecutive life sentences.
Yeah.
And without the possibility of parole plus 8 years, there was no way he was getting out.
No.
So he'll be in bars for the rest of his life. I mean, he's in his 80s, or he'd be close to 80 now.
Yeah.
And, let's hope he lives a long and healthy and horrific life in prison.
Let's hope so. That's the only thing we can really hope for in this. What a absolute piece of shit.
Absolute piece of shit. Mm-hmm. These poor victims. Look, when we decided to do this true crime podcast, oh my God, Too and True. Oh, why did we do that to ourselves? This true crime podcast, I think one of the things that you and I both want to do is pay respect to those victims. And one of the reasons that we like to discuss these things is to keep victims at the forefront of people's minds. And, we never want to lose sight of that. This piece of shit needs to rot. Mm-hmm. And, may his victims rest peacefully.
Let their voices speak loudly. I mean, we've got to celebrate those, the fact that there's survivors out there. There's also those that have not survived this. Obviously, there are murder victims, but those that have survived are incredibly strong. The fact that two of them have paired together to get a story across, is just awesome.
Love it.
Go girls.
Yep.
Women are strong, and an asshole and absolute monster like this will not stop their voices.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to end it on.
Yeah.
We do have a bit of a request of everyone, if we can, please. We would really love it if you could follow our podcast in your podcasting app. So for Apple, it's on the Purple podcasting app. In Spotify, where you can also watch us in video. If you can follow our channel, that really, really helps us get our name out there, and helps us be a little bit more visible to people who are searching for true crime podcasts, as it were.
Yeah.
And do you reckon we need to give ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back?
I think so. I think we're doing bloody well. I mean, geez. I mean, this is we're recording episode 12, but we've released episode 7, I think it was this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, after 7 episodes, we're doing well.
We're doing really well. We've had lots and lots of people like come in and join us. We can see that so many people, and there are people from all around the world
Blew
who
my
are
mind, that
tuning in.
list
I
of like the countries
know.
everyone's from. It's insane. Oh, welcome to everybody.
Yes, welcome. And please, please subscribe. It really, really, really does help us. So having people listen is fantastic. If you can subscribe, it's even better. So thank you everybody for listening. And next week we are bringing you, this is an Australian story. It's the case of Melissa Caddick. And this is an interesting one.
Definitely.
It's a little bit open-ended. We'll see where that case takes us. But thank you, everybody, for joining us on another episode of Two Crime Besties. And we can't wait to bring you another episode next week.
Absolutely. Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye. Okay.
Oh God.
Are we ready to start?
No, God.
We're fine. That's fine.
You're gonna. You'll be great.
No, you'll be great.
You're
always
You're
great.
awesome.
No, you are.
No, you are. Love you.